My brothers and sisters, the Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus said to his disciples, "The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure buried in a field, which a person finds and hides again, and out of joy goes and sells all that he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. When he finds a pearl of great price, he goes and sells all that he has and buys it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a net thrown into the sea, which collects fish of every kind. When it is full, they haul it ashore and sit down to put what is good into buckets. What is bad, they throw away. Thus, it will be at the end of the age. The angels will go out and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them into the fiery furnace, where there will be wailing and grinding of teeth. Do you understand all these things?" They answered, "Yes." And he replied, "Then every scribe who has been instructed in the kingdom of heaven is like the head of a household who brings from his storeroom both the new and the old." The Gospel of the Lord.
Greetings of peace and goodness, my friends. It seems that after being snowbound for 2 weeks, a Chicago salesman last winter headed for a convention in Palm Beach, Florida. His wife was to join him in a day or two, and they were both looking forward to much-needed winter break and a sunny time together. Unfortunately, his scheduled flight was canceled, and he had to wait for another one, a much later flight. He tried to appeal with the supervisor, but told the airline was not responsible for weather delays, and there was nothing that could be done except for him to wait for a later plane. Upon his arrival at the hotel, he discovered that Palm Beach was having a heat wave. Its weather was almost uncomfortably hot as Chicago was cold. The desk clerk gave him a message that his wife called and was expecting to arrive as planned the following day. He could hardly wait to get to the beach, but he quickly sent an email to his wife before leaving his room. However, there was just one little problem. He made a mistake, a typo in that email address. And the email unfortunately went to an elderly preacher's wife, whose even older husband had just died the day before. When the grieving widow opened her email on that day, she took one look at the monitor, let out an anguished scream, and fell faint on the floor. Her family rushed into the room to tend to her, and this is the message that they saw on the monitor. "My darling wife departed yesterday, as you know. Just now checked in. Some confusion at the gate. Made an appeal, but that was promptly denied. All is in readiness for your arrival tomorrow. Your loving husband. P.S. Sure is hot down here. Old-time missionaries used to have a field day with today's gospel, or at least part of it. And while they liked the passage that suggested that heaven was like a treasure in the field, or like a pearl of great price, they also told us that hell was a blazing furnace of fire, where there was weeping and gnashing of teeth. I don't know if it ever occurred to you, but some preachers seem to have almost a first-hand knowledge about hell. It's as though they had visited the place several times and were warning us what to expect if we should ever live lives that were headed in that direction. And not only that, but they also convinced us how easy it was for us to get in. No wonder many people were left with the impression that we all had a first-class ticket tucked in our pockets most of the time. But logically, if we believe in a heaven and a free will, it has to be logically possible that there is also a hell. Logically true because as some people use their free will to accept God, there are also others who use their free will to reject God. Acceptance or rejection of God is a choice. And our choices in this world determine our life in the next world as well. However, if we read today's gospel in a different way, there's another nuance that needs to be perhaps articulated. The idea of the field and the pearl, the field that has the treasure and the pearl of great price. Notice how the individual sells all that they have to purchase the field with the treasure or the pearl of great price. Logically, that makes no sense. Think about it. If you sell all that you have, what are you going to live on? What is there of value except to sell the treasure or the pearl? It is also true that Jesus Christ lived a life of saving value for us. And logically, that made no sense. And yet, he did it. And that great catch of fish, describing those who were in God's favor, those who had accepted God using their free will, and those who had rejected God that were thrown away. In other words, the pearl of great price that God has moved to possess on heaven and earth is us. We are the pearl of great price. After yesterday's Mass, 5:30 Mass, our parish missionaries were blessed, and they were sent out to manifest and reveal to the people of Jamaica exactly the message of God's love. And they do so with God's blessing and our prayerful support. Jesus reminds us that in glimpsing the things of heaven, we have to be like masters of that household. That is a rich, provocative image to preach. We have to be masters that bring forth the good as well as the bad, and to teach what is the difference, how to use our free will, so that the consequences and the ramifications of doing so will be something that we will be able to and want to have happen to us. To teach what Jesus does for everyone. For to provide each person, protection from harm. To provide for each person love that is unconditional. To provide for each person the justice that is due all people, knowing that peace comes from justice and not the other way around. God has given us a free will as well as treasures, both new and old, and to help us to protect one another, to love each other, to feel secure in the truth, and to be merciful to one another, to be compassionate and forgiving to all people. And we, on our part, need to know that the choices we make, the free will choices that we make in regard to these things, have implications, consequences, as well as rewards, not only in this life, but also in the life to come. And it will come. May the Lord grant you peace in ways that the world cannot.